Welcome to Wednesday Web Chat. This is Carl Lewis, your host from Vision 33. Today, our topic is kind of about what's new with SAP Business One, but we'll also be taking a look at the SAP Business One roadmap. And I'm very pleased that we have a special guest today, our good friend Rainer Zinow from SAP. And we'll get to introduce Rainer in just a little bit. And first, some announcements, like always on Wednesday Web Chat. So as you know, there is a SAP Business One user guide available from SAP Press. It has been updated for version 10. So it's been out about a year now, but is still available and probably one of the best resources for you if you're interested in learning more about SAP Business One. If you do have other questions about SAP Business One, Vision 33 has a customer resource center where you can find just about everything you're looking for SAP Business One questions. All the videos that we've possibly been able to collect and all the white papers and all the how-to documents, everything for several years. So be sure that you check that out. And as part of that, there is also some Crystal Reports training pieces that we've put together, about 8 videos about how to create, edit, and make your own Crystal Reports. So you can do this at your own pace, and it's available free of charge for all Vision 33 customers. Also, just to let you know, still at this point in time, the recommended version of SAP Business One is version 10, Feature Pack 2202. That's for both SQL and HANA databases. Our Total Care department is currently evaluating version 10, Feature Pack 2305, which is just recently released. So please stay tuned. We'll let you know when they've done their evaluations and approve it for general consumption. If you do plan to upgrade, we always encourage you to get in touch with Total Care. They will do some pre-approval and awareness work with you just to make sure that you don't run into any problems. And join me every other week on the Connected Enterprise podcast. You'll find it on iTunes and Google Play and TuneIn and Radio Public, Spotify, Libsyn, probably some other places too. And I do know that it's available on, I can always never keep them straight, on YouTube, I believe. So you're welcome to join us for that, where we interview people from business all over the world of business, all about how they recommend businesses stay connected to their employees, to their customers, and to their vendors in this age of digital craziness. Today's presenter is I consider him a friend and a colleague. He is a senior vice president responsible for the development of both SAP Business One and SAP Business by Design. Rainer Zinow. Rainer, welcome to Wednesday Web Chat. I know you've been with us before in past years, and appreciate your being here again this year. Let me stop sharing my screen so that you can start sharing yours.
Well, thanks, Carl. Let me start by sharing my screen. Share desktop screen share. Good, and let's start with the slides. So thanks for the invitation and thanks for the kind introduction. For those of you who haven't met me before, as Carl said, Rainer, in charge of Business One, Business by Design, product management, 33 years with SAP. So I've done nearly everything. I always say if you have some remaining questions on our mainframe product R2 or on the successor R3, I'm the right guy to ask. But today it's all about Business One. And Carl and I discussed a little bit on what should be the topic. Therefore, I pulled a couple of slides, which are mostly from my presentations and a couple of colleagues' presentations that we held at the so-called Partner Innovation Summits, which we recently conducted for the B1 partner community to keep them up to date. So first slide, B1 alive and kicking. Again, we had a great half year one. So I'm really pleased with how B1 performs. Close to 2,000 net new names to the Business One family. That's amazing. And Carl and the entire team of Vision 33, you're doing an amazing job, and I can't praise this enough. Without the B1 partner community and specifically Vision 33, this would be completely impossible. Business One is in the best possible hands with our partners. Therefore, everything that I'm doing in the product, I do it with the customers and partners in mind. And I think these numbers here speak for themselves. Some of you may know that we have a relatively young CEO, Christian Klein, and I know Christian for 20 years when he joined SAP as a working student. Therefore, from time to time, I'm allowed to ask questions that others probably not exactly phrased that way. I had a discussion when Christian took office as our sole CEO. I had a discussion with him and said, Christian, what does Business One mean for you? Because honestly speaking, if you're running a 30 billion euros or US dollar company, the revenue of Business One honestly doesn't move the needle. But Christian said, Rainer, thanks for asking, but you're joking. The thing that matters about Business One to SAP is not the revenue or the contribution. And both numbers are nice, so thanks for that. But what really matters are these 77,000 companies. And you've probably also seen all of the analysis on how many customers or how many companies dropped out of the Fortune 500 in the last 10 years. I think it's around about 60%, 60. And you've seen new companies showing up there. And Christian's point is, if we don't have a solution for young, growing companies like Business One, why should they go for SAP later? So therefore, Business One is a central part of the overall SAP ERP strategy. If you hear mostly news from SAP about S/4HANA public cloud, then this is obviously one of the battlegrounds that we need to win. Therefore, we are very vocal about that solution, and we are super upbeat about what we can do with S/4HANA public cloud in the upper mid-market. So basically the other side of the mid-market spectrum, but Business One is at the center of everything that we are doing. Carl asked me to talk about roadmap. And especially I had some discussions with partners who say, hey, Rainer, roadmap looks a little bit shallow. What is going on here? And therefore, we showed this picture here at the Innovation Summit saying feature matters, but only as long as the foundation works. And the foundation is all about these topics here. The non-functional dimensions of resilience, scalability, trusted, reliable delivery, customer care and support, solid technology, and foundation. And this is where SAP and its partners work hand in hand. So what is different to what it was 2 or 3 years ago? What is different is that we are confronted since 2-3 years with a cybercrime industry. It is an industry, and you can get any number out of the system, whether it's $30 billion or already $300 billion of criminals attacking companies, encrypting their data, and then trying to get money out of the attacked companies. Both public sector, private sector, nobody is safe. Therefore, and especially with the war in Ukraine, we see a spike in the number of attacks. Therefore, at SAP, we took a decision 1.5 years ago that we said we need to further enforce our security product standards. In the past with Business One, I did not need to fulfill all product standards, cloud product standards, because the reasoning always was, well, a lot of that is done by our partners. But SAP changed that point of view, not only for Business One, for all SAP products. And we said, we only have one set of product standards when it comes to security, availability, accessibility, and so on, and so on, and so on. Therefore, for me, the last 2 years were mostly major investments in the area of security. Why is this? And I believe in your very best interest. What we saw in the last 2 years is a change in this cybercrime industry. 2 or 3 years ago, the primary target of these criminals were large enterprises. But now the large enterprises have invested so much in their security measures that it is really difficult to penetrate these kind of organizations. So these organizations have shifted gears, and they are now attacking small and mid-sized companies, because the small and mid-sized companies find it difficult to harden out their infrastructures. Therefore, I can only congratulate those of you who've said, I'm not running my business one in my basement. I'm asking Vision 33 to do that on my behalf, or to organize it on my behalf. And therefore, my major investment in the last 2 years was security. I took this picture in our development building in Waldorf. Some of you may remember, those of you who remember the Harry Potter movies, the lady who is sitting in front of the dormitory and asking the boys password. That may have been a good security strategy a couple of years ago, but trust me, in today's world, it is not sufficient. Therefore, we are heavily investing in security and quality. The price that I have to pay is that I can't move on as fast as I wanted to with a Business One web client. I'm not stopping that investment. So you've seen, or you will see specifically, and Carl said it, 2305 is out. We also had involved, as always, the colleagues from Vision 33 before we release a new version to the market. We always, when we are done with the testing, we invite selected partners to test, especially with their extensions, to make sure that all and everything works. So I hope that in the next couple of days, also the colleagues from Vision 33, they gave me a thumbs up before we did the release decision. I hope that they start with the upgrade of the Vision 33 installed base very soon, because again, all of the things that I've done since 2202 in the security area, they are part of 2305, especially everything, and I'll talk in a minute about it, about single sign-on capabilities. Please use these capabilities. Harden out your Business One systems so that you make it freaking complicated for an attacker to encrypt your systems and keep you out of trouble. So that is the reason why I'm investing heavily in this area. Now you may ask, Rainer, what is your prediction? How long will this take? Probably until the end of the year. By the end of this year, I should be able to meet all product standards with a few minor deviations. There may be new topics coming up. We are, for example, running a full-blown set of so-called penetration tests, where we are hiring third-party companies to attack our infrastructure, to attack Business One, and they are allowed to do everything they want to do so that we further harden out the solutions. So the security concepts are at the top of mind. That is where we are investing. And as Carl said, for me, it is mission critical. It is mission critical that you upgrade to 2305. If you stay on a legacy release, specifically those customers who are still on 9.3, you are running a super high risk. So please work with the colleagues from Vision 33, have your upgrade plan, get to 2305 as fast as you can. We will ship then a 2308 support package that will include predominantly localization aspects. Support package 2311, which shall be available November, December timeframe this year, will deliver another big upgrade on the security side. That is the plan for the next couple of months and weeks. What are the things that I'm specifically proud of? Business One web client, a key capability When I'm talking to companies, when do you consider something a cloud solution? Most companies tell me, Rainer, that's relatively easy. Number one, I pay subscription. Number two, the box is not under my desk. And number three, I'm using the solution via the browser. Especially the young generation of people coming into the enterprises, they expect a browser-based user interface. And that is what B1 Web Client is all about. We are covering at the moment roughly 50-ish% of all capabilities of Business One via the web client. We did the sorting, including Vision 33 and the other members of the Partner Executive Council, where we said, how should we organize this work? And we said, let's take a role-based approach. We start with those colleagues working more in a customer-facing role or a supplier-facing role. And then we work our way through to the back office. Amazing built-in analytics. If you haven't seen it, please ask the colleagues from Vision 33 to give you a deep dive on those capabilities. That is the topic which will buy us a lot of goodwill with your end users, especially with the younger ones, for the years to come. I talked about the built-in analytics. They are at the center because also if you listen at the moment to all of this discussion about artificial intelligence, at the end of the day, the companies expect improved decision-making qualities, and educated decisions start with analytics. If I have the analytics in place, like we have it with the Business One web client built in, or Carl also mentioned the training on Crystal Report. It starts with a good reporting base because that allows you to make educated decisions whether this is the right thing to do or not. And therefore, we heavily invested in the built-in analytics capability. Identity and access management functionality is a topic which 3 or 4 years ago, yes, I love to talk about it, but the audience would always fall asleep. This has changed radically. This is where you organize the security for your B1 system or for the entire corona of applications that you are using. So you have the identity and access management functionality with two-factor authentications with the different provider services that you have. And we are using that across all of the Business One components. Therefore, also talk to Vision 33 about, hey, how should I harden out my security aspects within Business One? How do I introduce a two-factor authentication capability, or start with the simple things, enforce certain password policies that you want to see in your organization? So single sign-on, the whole area of identity and access management is that area that companies typically don't talk a lot about, but this is at the end of the day the investment that keeps cyber criminals out of your system. Therefore, please work with Vision 33 on an updated security strategy for your company and the best practices that they can bring to the table. The next topic, which also spills over from the artificial intelligence discussion that we are having at the moment. I said, when I discuss with companies, what do you expect out of this whole artificial intelligence? The typical answers that you get is, and the first one I already mentioned, we want to make well-educated decisions. The second aspect is we need to do more with less people. Those of us with a little bit background in mathematics say, yeah, that's a nonsense statement. That doesn't work. But what we can do is we can drive automation. There are so many repetitive tasks happening every day in companies that we can automate. And there are a couple of these bots now available for Business One that are available for you. And I added some QR codes here. The first one on the left at the bottom on the Open SAP course on how to build automation. The second one, we have a dedicated store where you can find these kind of automation scripts. And together with Vision 33, you can download these scripts and activate them for you. We're delivering 7 automation best practices as part of Business One. Why only 7? When it comes to automation, there's no such thing like standard software because everybody does it slightly different. Let me give you one example of one of my dear customers. They will only send out an invoice once they have a copy of the signed delivery papers signed by the customer. And when they send out the invoice, they attach a copy of the signed document. And so far, they had a number of people who did nothing else day in and day out, watching this email inbox. When an email came in with a signed delivery note, they looked at the attachment. They tried to identify what shipment was this for which customer. They went into the Business One system. They then organized that the invoice got printed together with a copy of the signed shipment note, and then put the whole thing in an envelope and send it out. This company was able to fully automate this process. So the bot monitors the inbox. When an email arrives, the bot opens the inbox, it opens the email and extracts the attachment. The bot hands over the attachment to the SAP machine learning service, which does the document recognition and receives as a return, this was the shipment number, this was the customer number. The bot then goes into Business One, retrieves the corresponding order, sets the flag for proof of delivery, triggers then the printing of the attachment as well as the printing of the invoice, and sends out the whole thing. They only have 1 or 2 people left in that department who are looking at the very shaky images, but that really improved the company's work, and they really then do more with less. Embedded business cases that we are delivering to you free of charge are templates for intelligent invoice scanning, so supplier invoice recognition, business partner creation, and updates based on business card scanning. So you take your cell phone, you take an image of the business card, you send it to Business One does the rest. So please familiarize yourself. Here, one more slide on the same topic. One important aspect that I wanted to round off today's discussion with is, I stood on stage already quite a while ago and I said, I consider B1 feature complete. What I wanted to say is B1, the kernel, is a super robust engine, but the secret sauce of Business One are all of the extensions of Vision 33 and many other partners of Business One that they bring to the table. At the same time, SAP is also bringing new business capabilities to the table. One of the very hot topics in Europe these days is carbon footprint. And how do you manage the carbon footprint for your products? This is super relevant in Europe because, for example, in the automotive industry, if you're a supplier to BMW, BMW expects that with every shipment of goods, you disclose what was the carbon footprint of that specific shipment. And especially in Northern Europe, we already have taxation on carbon footprint. So you need a solution to manage carbon footprint. And we have built a solution called SAP Sustainability Footprint Management. And now I talk too much, therefore I need to sign in again. This solution is built on SAP's business technology platform, but integrated with Business One. Why is this important? The vast majority of data you need to calculate the carbon footprint of your company actually resides in your Business One system already. So you can directly calculate this carbon CO2 emission balance for your company with your B1 system in the background and see that you had an inflow of 1.5 tons of carbon footprint in the month of April. And you translated that one with sold product consumption, and so on and so on. Also of 1.5 tons, you sometimes hear SAP talking about the green ledger. So this is what you see here. And then you can scroll down and really see here, I have an example of a bakery. You can see how the total emissions break down. So you can really get transparency on what the carbon footprint is. I said the vast majority of data is within Business One. There's one category which is not within Business One. These are the so-called energy flows. So you need to allocate how much energy do you consume with each production step. So therefore, once you set up the energy flow model, you say, I have in my bakery, I'm using natural gas and I'm using electricity. Here are the different engines which you're using in production. So your cooling system and the oven. You also have that in your warehouse where you have an electric meter for the cooling system, for the warehouse, and so on, and so on, and so on. So you do all of that. And once you are done, you can now say, show me the footprint of my individual products. So we are producing strawberry cake and chocolate cake. As I love chocolate cake, let's drill a little bit into chocolate cake. You can see you produced chocolate cake in the month of March. You did that at a certain factory, and the CO2 equivalent of the manufactured chocolate cake was 645 kilograms of CO2. You can see here how the CO2 footprint is composed of. Biscuit, good for us lovers of dark chocolate, continue eating. The dark chocolate doesn't matter. But you see that from a carbon footprint standpoint, the chocolate assembly is fairly expensive, which at the end of the day is not very astonishing, because first you need to melt the chocolate, then you put the chocolate on the cake, and then you need to freeze it immediately again. Therefore, it is very clear that the cooling system is heavy, and every time that you produce chocolate cake, this obviously comes here into the equation. So you can not only disclose the data for your entire company, you can also tell your customers, this is the carbon footprint equivalent of the goods that I'm selling to you. So just that you've seen it, there is a solution for Business One to calculate the carbon footprint once this topic comes up in your company. Second topic, and I will only mention it today, we are also getting ready for the world of cryptocurrencies. And I'm not talking about the cryptocurrencies like the highly volatile digital money. Also, you have so-called stable coins in the US, for example, for US dollars, but also for Canadian dollar. And more companies want to use these digital currencies. I have a lot of Business One customers who actually have their background in the gaming industry. And for them, being able to pay and receive payments in digital currencies is a part of their new business model. Therefore, in the same technology, like I've just shown it to you for the sustainability footprint management, the CO2 management, we built this solution here. So should the topic of digital currencies come up in your company, keep in mind, Business One also has a solution there, and my friends from Vision 33 can help you with that. That's it. I'm at the end of my presentation. And Carl, did I forget anything?
No, sir. That was great, and I'm glad that you brought up some of the innovations that the SAP is doing as well. We should say, Rainer, we want to thank you and your team for the hard work they do with SAP Business One, and particularly thank you for your attention to the issues of security. Sadly, we have had customers who have been impacted by these outlaws.
Yeah.
We've, of course, done everything we can to help them. To date, we've been able to help all customers recover, but we are concerned, as you are, that it takes a lot of diligence to be sure that you've done everything you can do, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any questions, Rainer. You must have done a very good job without having anyone ask a follow-up question.
Well, probably I talked the audience to sleep when I started talking about single sign-on and identity and access management.
I doubt that. Well, Rainer, thank you, my friend, and thank you everyone for being a part of Wednesday Web Chat. And we'll have Rainer back again probably next year. And until then, we'll see you all on the next episode of Wednesday Web Chat.
Oh, thanks a lot.